The last super global we'll be discussing in this chapter is called env for environment. So on the right hand side, _env, if we click on that one, and what it is an associative array again of variables passed to the current script via the environment methods. These variables are imported into PHP's global namespace from the environment under which the PHP parser is running. Many are provided by the shell under which PHP is running, and different systems are likely running different kinds of shells. A definitive list is impossible. Please see your shells documentation for a list of defined environment variables. Don't worry about it, so you don't have to do this really. Other environment variables include the CGI variables placed there regardless of PHP is running, whether PHP is running as a server module or CGI processor. Again, don't worry, that's too much to know at this stage basically. We are at the beginner stage. Obviously, all we are interested in is basically there is this environment, how we can actually use it, and how we actually can find out what sort of environment basically variables are available. For this specific exercise, we are also going to be using this getEnv function, and there's another one. If we scroll down on this getEnv page, we have putenv. So if you open all these tabs so that we have them available when we get them. First of all, though, let's go back to our editor. So first I want to see what this env superglobal contains. So we're going to simply use our print r statement again. So echo, we're going to start with the pre-tag to format it nicely, print r, and we go for our env superglobal, then echo and closing pre-tag. So we now save it and preview everything in the browser, refresh the page, and there we go. This is the list of the environment variables that I have available on my computer, basically on my installation here. So a few of them, as you may see, script name, for instance, request URI, then we have request method, and so on. A few of them you have seen already, obviously, in the previous video when we were discussing server superglobal. So as you can see, you can also get them, some of them, from this environment superglobal. If we go back to the editor, I'm going to comment this for the time being. And above this, obviously, we can also get a single item by simply using the array approach, obviously. So we've got env superglobal, and then in the square brackets, let's just use the index. Say, for instance, it was request method, underscore method, semicolon obviously at the end to indicate this is the end of the statement. If we refresh the page, same way as before, we've got get, because obviously we're not posting anything. It's just a simple page load, so it's just a get method. We can obviously add to it as well. This time we can use simply environment and let's say school, and then equals, say SSD tutorials. And if we save this, and now I'm going to actually try and get this index straight away after, and there we go, that's what we're getting. If we uncomment this print r statement, and I'm just going to comment this first line, save it, refresh the page, and as you can see, it's been added to at the bottom of the list as well, using a simple assignment. Now to preview the entire list of the environment variables, we can also use PHP info function, PHP lowercase info function. We now save it and preview it in the browser, refresh the page, and under the PHP variables section, if we scroll down, you can see some of them, they are corresponding to the server superglobal. And then if we scroll down, we have this environment, underscore environment superglobal. So these are the ones which we've seen earlier, obviously, by simply printing this underscore env superglobal. They are exactly the same ones. As you can see, if we scroll down to the bottom, the last one's fcgi role. But if we now scroll to the bottom of the page, when we're still keeping this print r function, we have this school as well. And that is because we are calling, obviously, this PHP info before we actually set it. If we move it up to the top, save it and refresh the page, obviously here, if I scroll up now back to this variables, there we go, environment school is also available. However, this is not how you set environment variables. As you may remember, Cookie was working in a very similar way. You could actually use the simple array assignment to set it on the page to have it available within this cookie super global, in our case now environment super global, but it wasn't the way you were setting this up. You were using actually the function set cookie in order to properly set it as a proper cookie basically. And now to set the environment variable, we should also use the function, and this function is called putenv, one of the tabs we've opened earlier. And what it does basically, it sets the value of an environment variable, and there we go. It returns boolean true or false depending on whether it succeeded or failed, and it takes only one argument of a string type, which is basically the setting for the new environment variable. Add setting to the server environment. The environment variable will only exist for the duration of the current request, and at the end of the request the environment is restored to its original state, which means it's basically only available, the new environment variable using this put environment function is only available on a per page basis. If we set it on this page, let's say we go to another page without using this put environment, then this environment variable will not be available there. So let's quickly have a look at how we can use it. If we go back to our editor, and rather than having assignment done this time, let's now use this put environment function, and let's use school. And now how you do it, you basically use, because we only have one argument, you separate index, basically name of the environment variable with the value using the equal symbol. So school ssd tutorials, doing this basically this way. So if we now save it, preview everything in a browser, go back to our PHP info, and as you can see, now our school environment variable is under the environment section, but you will not be able to see it anywhere under the PHP variable. So if I just search for school, that's the only place, as you can see, that I can find it. So because it's been obviously set using this put environment function, which is the correct way of setting this up. Okay, if we go back to the editor, another thing I wanted to show, you can now remove this PHP info, and let's comment this print R section here as well. If we want to use it now with this environment super global, see what's going to happen. If we go back to the browser, refresh the page, undefined index. And this is because in order to use our environment variables set with the put in env function, we have to use the get env function, another tab which we've opened earlier. And what it does, basically gets the value of an environment variable. You can see a list of all environment variables using PHP info, which we've done earlier, and it returns the string, which is the value associated with this given variable, which we are passing the name of as an argument. So if we go back to the editor, and now if we simply echo as well by using the get env function, and now school index, there we go, environment variable. And if we now refresh the page, there we go, fair enough, we get it obviously the way we would expect it. So if we go back to the editor, so by the look of it, obviously, as you can see, this env super global doesn't have much use basically, because if you have to set them using this put env function and then retrieve them using get env function, then what is this env super global used for? Basically, you can still use it to retrieve simple values, basically default ones, which come with your installation. Let's say request, as we done earlier, request method. It will work this way, so you can still fetch the default ones which come with your installation. But if you want to have access to the default ones plus the ones which you can set manually, then this get env is the best way of doing it.